What's happening, Internet fam? Today is Wednesday, June 13th. It's a beautiful sunny day down here in San Diego. I'm going to be playing guitar around the campfire again all night tonight, and I've got a lot of IT work that I'm going to be doing tomorrow, so we'll see about my vlog tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a very busy day, so I'm going to have to keep it really short tomorrow. But today, I wanted to get into some very detailed and specific analysis of the overall market. There was a huge market crash again today. Bitcoin down a lot. We're going to go look at that in a moment. But this is the meme that I created based on what's happening today. So yeah, there's the investors looking at the altcoins, looking at Bitcoin, and everybody's just like, WTF, right? Because at this point, the market has absolutely crashed beyond all recognition. And I think there's some very good reasons for that I want to talk about. The main thing is you have to think about the fact that the entire market is currently being manipulated by whales. Absolutely. Large institutional investors are intentionally keeping the price of all cryptos down as much as possible because they want to keep the price down so that when they get in, they can get as much as possible. Because they know, I think what we all suspect, which is at some point, cryptos are going to replace traditional finance, the stock market, government currency, etc. So to keep things in perspective, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because right now the crypto market is just a tiny fraction of what the overall market is. This article here talked about it very specifically in a very clear and concise way. A 57 billion lesson in perspective for crypto. We're still a very, very small fish in a very, very large bowl. And I agree with that summation very, very strongly. In fact, that's what I've been saying this whole time. Like I say in almost every day's vlog, the entire crypto market is worth less than a third of what the Apple Corporation is worth. That's one corporation. So let's take a look at that in a different way. This is the current U.S. stock market total as of January of this year. The U.S. stock market's worth about 30 trillion. Now keep in mind, this is just the U.S. stock market. This isn't all the government-backed bonds, fiat currency, real estate, gold, silver, all the other assets. This is just the stock market. Is worth 30 trillion. And all of the cryptos combined right now today are worth about 270 billion. So, I mean, look at that graph. You know, crypto is just a tiny drop in the bucket compared to the U.S. stock market. And that doesn't even include all the rest of the assets that I think eventually crypto is going to be competing with, such as gold, silver, government bonds, government fiat, etc. So, you know, now, as we move forward, it's very likely that cryptos are going to be worth at least as much as the stock market, probably much, much more, in which case you can expect the entire market to go up 100x. And when the entire market goes up 100x and you see something a little bit more like this, which I predict will happen in the next 2 or 3 years, then you can expect the price of some of these cryptos to go up 200x as well. And specifically, if Bitcoin continues to stay dominant as it is, then you can imagine that right now today, Bitcoin is worth $6,302. So you can imagine that if this goes up 100x, one Bitcoin will be worth $630,000. I do predict something like that within the next, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know how long it's going to take, but my guess is once institutional investors start coming in, it's going to go absolutely nuts. So as we talked about, the market did crash quite a bit. Market cap down $270 billion, less than $270 billion, really closer to $268 billion. Very low prices across the board. As a result of that market crash, everything is down. And again, I do think this is institutional money intentionally suppressing the market and keeping it down as much as possible. EOS, $10. Litecoin, $92. You know, Cardano, 15 cents, almost 16 cents. Neo, $37, under $40. Dash, under $250. Monero, under $114. I mean, these are insanely low prices. Ethereum Classic, despite its huge pump from getting on to, from probably going to be listed on Coinbase, still under $14 right now. So, I mean, we are just talking about low, low prices across the board for every single crypto. Interestingly, Decred is only down 1%. Holding strong at almost $86. So, you know, down a bit, but not down nearly as much as some of the other things. Interesting. Yeah, so Yeah, the whole market is just absolutely down. MasterNode is actually going offline because the money loss is there. So I guess people are, are not as motivated to get into it as they would have been a couple of weeks ago when the whole market's pumping. Dash dominance probably up again a little bit more because as the market drops, generally Dash dominance tends to go up a little bit as we've seen in the past. So, but again, I do expect the market to recover at some point. As a result of the drop of the entire market, all of the MasterNode coins are down as well, most of them. There's a few that are up a little bit, but I mean mostly down, 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 down. Just incredibly low prices for almost everything. Bitcoin Green down to $11,000. That's very cheap for Bitcoin Green. Pure finally stopped hemorrhaging. It had huge drops. I mean, it's almost lost 2/3 of its value in the last couple of weeks. They are doing a coin swap, so maybe it's some legitimate loss of value on that one. Let's see what else we got here. Bulwark had a little bit of a recovery, 15% up, which is good because it had a huge drop just like everything did. StakeNet, huge drop in StakeNet today, so might be worth thinking about getting into that one. Let's see what else. Pivx down 11%. Crazy. Shekel down 5%. H2O down almost 30%. Dextro down 24%. Paulus down almost 10%. Anova down another 8%. Anova under $200 for an Anova MasterNode. I mean, this is just a super legitimate coin. Super legitimate team. There are over 2,000 MasterNodes out there of Anova. 116% ROI, and yet it is down another 8%. So just insane. Minochi down almost 10%. Crown down. I mean, just everything absolutely down. So, and I do really think that the main reason why is because institutional investors are intentionally suppressing crypto prices. And there's some evidence for that too. For instance, Coinbase opened a crypto index fund to accredited U.S. investors. Now, they only opened it to accredited U.S. investors. What does that mean? That means to play, you have to have a substantial amount of money to get in there. Accredited, I think in this case, is $250,000. Yeah, exactly. $250,000 you have to have. So who's going to get in with $250,000? Who can qualify for an accredited investor? Not you or me or the rest of us little guys. These are only the big guys getting in. And those big guys want to keep the crypto market down by all means possible until they're ready to really pump it and have it replace the stock market, fiat currency, and everything, which is going to happen eventually, I believe. But until they are ready to jump all the way in, I do believe these institutional investors are intentionally suppressing the market. The ETF was a great example of that in December. We saw the market absolutely tank once that ETF came on board. Everybody was shorting Bitcoin. And here's another example right here. Coinbase opens an index only to accredited investors, interestingly enough. I mean, why is that sort of, why is that kind of, what do you call that? Discrimination. I mean, this is discrimination against poor people. That's just plain and simple. When you talk about accredited and accreditation, you're talking about discrimination against poor people by the wealthy. That's all that is. So what would be the motivation for Coinbase to allow that kind of discrimination into their exchange? Is the SEC only allowing them to allow the accredited investors? So is this the SEC intentionally allowing accredited investors to come in and squelch the crypto market? I'm not sure. I really don't know, but it feels like it, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. That is what we have seen this entire time with the market manipulation. At one point, Bitcoin was down to $6,100 today. It has recovered a little bit from then. I like this picture of the ship rolled over too. It has been a very rough 6 months for crypto, and I think it will continue to be rough for a while. I don't know exactly when we're going to see it transition back into being sensible, but I do expect it to happen at some point here. And until then, all I can say is, you're better off HODL with the coins that you've got, or taking advantage of these low prices and getting in even more. Again, not financial advice. I wouldn't give financial advice because I'm very poor and I have almost no money of my own. And why would you take advice from me anyway? Just because I follow the market and I analyze things and I can make pretty spreadsheets? I do make pretty spreadsheets. Anyway, that's it for today, fam. Great day to be hodling or buying more. Definitely not a good day to be selling. If you sell on a day like today, you're gonna be very sad about it. I think eventually, because eventually these large institutional investors and whales and market manipulators are not going to be able to continue to squelch the market as hard as they have. At some point, they're going to want to get into the market and see their assets that they've been purchasing and manipulating the market in order to buy more of rise in value. And when that occurs, I expect all cryptos to go up 100x. Honestly, I do expect a lot of cryptos to go up 100x in the, I don't know, medium term, next 2, 3, 4 years, something like that. I'm not exactly sure when. It could happen this year. It could happen next year. It could happen in 2020. I'm not really sure, but at some point it's going to happen. And in the meantime, fam, keep on noding.